and let us all do we can to build a better future.
So Nina Turner was recently on CNN, especially with the aftermath of the uncommitted voters in Michigan. And Nina Turner tried to explain why the voters are voting uncommitted, especially when Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush called for a ceasefire. Now, to be very clear here, look, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, you know, my audience is going to say this, and I'm going to say it too. You wasted your time being part of the Democratic Party. Clearly, you're seeing firsthand just how uncommitted the Democratic establishment is to progressive values, which is why the uncommitted voters turned out. Now, the thing is, Representative Tlaib and Representative Bush, this movement that you did help push, because you did help push it, it will get angry and push back against you if you tell them, hey, we got to vote for Biden in the general election. You got to remember here, the best thing to do is run independent. The best thing for us to do as citizens is support citizen ballot initiatives to abolish all political parties, all of them. But apparently CNN didn't like what Nina Turner was saying, though. So let's pull up this video here and play it, because they just got easily triggered.
I don't think for many voters who are voting uncommitted that they're going to vote uncommitted and then say Donald Trump is my choice. I think this is more complicated than that.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Bakari. I mean, no one that I interface with said that they wanted to vote for Donald J. Trump. There is a however here. And I think sometimes as we talk about this issue, we're centering President Biden. We are centering former President Donald J. Trump, when the uncommitted effort is to center the people closest to the pain. And that is the Arab American community. That is the Palestinian community. That is communities that care about peace. And so while this president was in the ice cream shop saying, I think there's going to be a ceasefire, 30,000 people have been slaughtered. People are living in famine. They can't get medical care. So it can't come soon enough for them. And that was really the weight that I picked up on when I was in Dearborn. So we get to be comfortable and talk about this like these people are widgets when they are in fact suffering. And I am young enough to remember, colleagues, when Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and also Congresswoman Cori Bush called for a ceasefire very early on. They were called abhorrent. Now, fast forward to all of these bodies laying in the wake.
Hold on. I got to bring this up here. Again, dangerous talk must be stopped in a 3, 2, 1. And don't worry, they're going to get triggered, because they're always going to bring up the one thing, the only thing that's going to matter in this election, at least towards the liberals and anyone that has Trump derangement syndrome, is, but Trump is the bad guy. Trump is this. Trump is that. Okay, first of all, Donald Trump, you can't let this man live rent-free in your head, okay? You got to go on with the rest of your life. And I get it. We all got problems. We all got troubles at varying levels. I got them. You got them. People who disagree with us got them. Random strangers got them. But you got to move on with your life. You can't let Trump live rent-free in your head. Yes, Donald Trump is gaining momentum. And yes, he did win the Michigan primary. Oh, my God. Who didn't see that coming? I mean, it's not even worth the cover. I mean, look, Trump is going to win. Okay, Nikki Haley lost again. Surprise. I know some of you are pushing for Nikki. That's not her name, Haley. But, you know, whenever you see a spider in the toilet, you're kind of cheering for the spider to get out of that water. But you got to flush it because it's a spider. All right, so come on, Nikki. You got to wrap it up. It's over.
And people who are living through this every single day.
So by the way, there's also been slaughter in Israel.
I was going to say,
so there's a lot of pain on both sides.
No,
so
I'm not.
Lecture on
slaughter on both sides. Look, okay, what happened on October 7th, truly tragic, right? And Bassem Youssef broke it down perfectly, especially with Piers Morgan. Do you condemn Hamas? Bloody hell, do you condemn Hamas? But right now, what's happening? It's the world's most one-sided fistfight, and the city of Rafah is at risk of being decimated. 1.4 million Palestinians are in that city right now. And they're at risk of being shot at, blown up, everything.
On the problem, but I'm talking about the politics of this tonight. What to you would be a victory, as somebody was calling for this uncommitted vote, what to you would be a victory tonight to get that message across?
I'm not denying that pain. All I'm saying that at a certain point after October the 7th, it becomes clear. I mean, you have a right-wing prime minister.
Right. We don't need to
who
debate
has
the
said,
issue.
but you understand, I'm not denying.
Anderson Cooper pulling out his Inder Vanderbilt. If you know that reference, I love you.
Anybody's pain. What I am saying is that this president and our country has the power to say to Netanyahu, we need a permanent ceasefire. The only time
Within
hostages,
reason, though, if I can push back here,
wait, one more point. The only time hostages were released is when we had that brief ceasefire. That is another reason why we need a permanent ceasefire.
I also have to remind people we had a ceasefire prior to October 7th,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's a point. And I get centering people, and I completely understand that. But I think, Anderson, your point is valid as well, that there is a lot of pain to go around, and we cannot forget that. But I'm talking about tangible solutions. That's what I'm. And as we look at because we can debate and talk about this on a level of humanity, which we cannot forget. But we also have to look at the results from tonight. And what I'm saying is that there are tangible results this White House can deliver, and I think if they're able.
You think this White House can deliver tangible results? Type 1 for yes, Kit. Joe Biden eats ice cream and can chew bubble gum and kick ass at all the same time. But he's too senile to know where he's at. Type 1. Type 2, man, he's just too senile. He doesn't know where he's at, man. He doesn't know, man. They're not going to deliver anything.
Able to deliver it. Now, if they miss, then you
hit or miss, right? Hit or miss.
Have a totally different scenario.
And here's the reality. If I may briefly defend Joe Biden, there hasn't been a day since October 7th that he hasn't been working around the clock, his National Security Council, his State Department, with the Qataris, with the Israeli government to try to come to a cessation of hostilities.
I mean, he thinks the president is also the president of Mexico, but that's okay.
They do have a massive messaging problem, though. They have allowed this sort of discontent with young progressives to take so much steam that you're seeing it play out in real time. And a problem that they might run into, if this is something that ends up being.
Oh, yes, they're upset at the progressives, right? Because heaven forbid the progressives and independents actually share their opinions and thoughts with the liberal Democrats that have constantly been crapping in front of them the whole time, constantly been disrespecting them the whole time. I mean, the Democratic establishment made it abundantly clear what they think about progressives and independents. They made it clear how they view us. And because of that, folks, we, as citizens, must break away from the Democratic Party. And if they get upset about it, well, and they start questioning us, well, then here's what we need to say. You're the ones that broke with us. You're the ones that told us that we have to keep our powder dry. You're the ones that told us that we must wait, be patient, that things can't happen automatically. People are tired of waiting. People want results now. People want action.
Upwards of 50,000 votes tonight. Are other states going to follow? Are there going to be other organizing efforts in primaries to show that they won't be with Biden unless they see a change in policy?
Yes, the Uncommitted campaign is going to go. I mean, I've been told that campaign is going to go into other states.
And Congressman, on the Republican side.
Mm-hmm. But let's also pull up this video here. Representative Rashid Tlaib's sister discusses the uncommitted votes after the Michigan primary. This is the aftermath. So let's talk about it. Let's see what she has to say.
First of all, I wonder what your reaction to tonight's turnout is. And did you send the message that you were hoping to send to President Biden?
I mean, we are just, overwhelmed by the fact that we were able to triple our margin of victory of the original 10,000 votes that we were hoping to leverage to send a clear and strong message to President Joe Biden and his administration and the Democratic Party that we needed a permanent ceasefire now to save as many Palestinian lives as possible.
Layla, President Biden, as you know, in recent days has said that Israel's response in Gaza has been, quoting him, over the top. He said just yesterday that he's hoping for a ceasefire by the end of this weekend. What more do you need to hear from him specifically to go from uncommitted to committed to voting for him? Or is the concern that all of this is lip service during an election year?
Yeah, we need more than just nice words and hope. We need a permanent ceasefire right now.
At different times with the New York Times, you had mentioned this, and you said that the very bare minimum that Biden needs to do to get the vote is to completely overhaul America's relationship with Israel, demand a permanent end to hostilities, and end American military aid to Israel, at least as long as its war in Gaza drags on. Do you think that he would likely try to meet those expectations, or are there some concessions electorally that you would see?
Now,
I think
these questions that we're seeing from CNN, what this is a way of it's slowly trying to push anyone that has broken out of the neoliberal system or is maybe thinking about to come right back in. Is there anything Biden can do? Do you think the Biden administration can do this? Can you think the Biden administration can do that? You think they're capable of doing all these things? But the problem is for the Democrats and for the liberals is that if Biden wanted to, he would. If Biden and his administration were actually strong, they would hold Israel and its government accountable. By the way, Netanyahu's not that popular with his people. He's having his own wag the dog moment right now where there's a good old war distracting everyone from the domestic issues. However, we cannot forget when Israeli citizens stormed the parliament asking, where are the hostages? Get our loved ones home. The whole world is watching. The whole world is seeing what is happening firsthand, and yet this administration is choosing not to do a single freaking thing.
if Joe Biden wants to avoid alienating his core base and his core constituency, he will listen to the uncommitted vote now and realize that he is going to be at risk come November for essentially handing the White House over to Trump. And he's going to have to be accountable to that. We voted. Michiganders used their ballot box as a humanitarian vote, as a protest vote, to demand that our government and our president call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire and end the military funding of our American taxpayer dollars, commit a genocide in 2024.
Help me follow this thread in terms of what would...
Again, pushing the person to reconsider and vote Democrat, because corporate media, they got that shield wall around Biden, but that wall is starting to crack. The phalanx cannot hold.
Would be the next frontier. Let's assume that he does not meet the expectations as you've laid out, or what you...
No one tell AOC that voters feel that he is not exceeding expectations.
You have just described. Does that mean that the supporters of your particular uncommitted movement are they going to stay home? Will they vote for Donald Trump?
Well, what I can say is this, is that...
Will they stay home or will they vote for Trump? Because Trump lives rent-free in everyone's heads. Because it's Donald Trump. It's Trump, 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 Trump. Remember, folks, if there's a talented artist out there, once again, gather around the campfire, and I shall tell you a tale. A group of liberals are at a friend's house. They're eating their organic gluten-free food and watching Rachel Maddow scream and foam at the mouth about Donald Trump. But there's a thunderstorm outside, and yet they are all cozy inside. But little do they know that there's a man on the hill holding an axe. Very suspicious looking. One of the liberals looks out there. The lightning cracks in the background. And they see a shape of a figure. Then they blink. The figure's gone. But the person's walking closer to the house. It's Donald Trump. Again, lightning is striking. Rachel Maddow still foaming at the mouth on TV. The liberals still eating, listening, worshiping every word that she's saying until one of the liberals looks at the door. And in it, there's the face of an angry Donald Trump. He kicks down the door, axe in hand, and says, "I'm going to make America great again." The liberals panic and they start running all over the place like in Scooby-Doo, and Trump is chasing them. He's chasing them down the hallway. He's chasing them down Fifth Avenue. He's chasing them all across America until they realize, oh no, he's not following them anymore. They see the TV, some random TV in a store. They look at it and there's Trump sitting in the White House. These liberals, they just want you guys to be afraid.
That the uncommitted voters are not going to be voting in a monolith. They are going to have to vote their conscience. There are going to be groups, voters within this movement that already feel deeply betrayed by Biden and his administration for the fact that Muslim Americans and Arab Americans have been directly affected by Israel's aggression and collective punishment of Palestinians. And not only that, as Democrats, we feel betrayed because why are we risking our democracy to align ourselves with someone like Netanyahu and his right-wing government?
You know, the idea, and you are correct to describe the absence of a monolith when you're talking about any voting bloc that people often will look to. I'll be curious to see what ultimately will be the decision of those voters voting their conscience, voting what they want. I want to mention that President Biden just released a statement thanking Michigan, but did not mention the uncommitteds. What's your response?
Well, of course he's not going to mention the uncommitted voters. I mean, he's doing a victory speech. Look, Biden's senile, but he's not that crazy. Well, maybe he is, but come on. You think his handlers are going to have him speak out for the uncommitted? I mean, he's given cards to prep him for questions by people in the press that are pre-selected by his administration so that Biden could be on the stage, say what he says on the cards, and then, boom, walks out of there or, stumbles on out of there. You think he's going to talk about the uncommitted? CNN? Come on, CNN. Ask more smarter questions.
I think that is negligent on behalf of the president
The better answer is, of course, he was never going to mention us because he doesn't want to acknowledge that Democratic voters are breaking away from the Big Tent party.
Once again, alienate the voices of his core constituency, largely who put him in support, who put him in the White House in 2020, because this community largely supported Biden based on the promises that he made during his campaign trail. And we know that Trump is not a friend to our community. And we know that he is not a friend to the anti-war, pro-ceasefire community. But right now, we are appealing to Joe Biden as our president to act now before he risks losing his core constituency come November.
He's already losing them. He's losing the black vote, the Latino vote, the Arab vote. He's losing everybody. Everybody. Everyone.
I want to focus on that. What does that mean to lose the core constituency? Does that mean that although you just said that your constituency knows that Donald Trump is not a friend to the causes that you describe, does that mean that the couch is now the third party candidate?
That means that
the couch. Why? Way to be disrespectful, CNN.
We need to save as many Palestinian Israeli lives as possible, and that this is a humanitarian vote. This is beyond politics. This is within the ceasefire movement, and we use our ballot box as a protest vote in order to save as many lives as possible, and to end this unchecked and unconditional funding that the United States provides to Israel to commit genocide using American taxpayer dollars.
The signal and the message that's being sent to President Biden, I do wonder if, knowing that he has not mentioned the constituency of uncommitted, whether the message has been received. But what about Donald Trump?
Again, what about Trump? It's Trump. Trump's the bad guy, everybody. Look out for Trump. This is why we need independent media. This is why to see the day when all corporate media finally goes belly up. What a sight that would be. But alas, we're not getting that.
Who obviously is also looking at this, wondering if this will inure to his benefit at this point in time. Do the policies of Donald Trump that he has professed and articulated, are those an improvement to what the Biden administration is doing now?
Like I said, I can't answer to every voter who voted uncommitted today, but what I can say is we use the primary as a way to tell Joe Biden and his administration what we needed right now. We are not focused right now what's going to happen in November, but what we do know is that voters are going to vote their conscience. And I don't know if voters will be able to pull their support behind a president that is complicit in a genocide. And as far as Trump, I really, I can't answer to every uncommitted voter. But what I do know is that we don't expect our voters in Michigan to stay at home. We do.
No, uncommitted. You know what? Make your choice. If you want to stay home, that's fine. You want to vote third party, fine. Don't vote Democrat or Republican. I am not a Republican voter. I am not a Democratic voter, but I encourage all of you to break away from the two-party system and vote independent and vote third party. Simple as that. But oh, CNN's got to bring up the one thing that only matters to everybody. What about Trump? Trump, 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 Trump. It's all got to be about Trump. Trump this and Trump that. Trump, 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 Trump. It's all about Trump. Every day it's about Trump. You wake up in the morning, Trump, right there. You go ahead and take a dump on the toilet paper. There's Trump. Go ahead and get in your car, sitting next to you. It's Trump. Go ahead and listen to the radio. It's Trump. You get to your cubicle, Trump, or anywhere you work. Guess what? Your coworker. It's Trump. Everything is Trump. Trump this, Trump that. Trump, 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 Trump. That's all what CNN can talk about. CNN, listen. Level with me, CNN, and BSDNC, and New York Times, and ABC, and CBS. Everybody in corporate media. I know secretly you want Donald Trump to win again because he brought in the views. I mean, were it not for Trump in 2016, you guys would have been belly up a long time ago. Trump was the best thing that ever happened to you. Trump was the biggest job producer for corporate media, for the Democratic establishment, for all those vote blue no matter who people. He gave you a reason to exist. He's the only reason why you had jobs in the first place, or why you have relevancy on social media, because that's all you would talk about. But you were talking about Trump. Trump, 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 Trump. That's all could you do. So, look, I have my opinion and criticism of Nina Turner, but, she brought up some very good points to CNN in which they were trying to shut down. And Rashida Tlaib's sister, next time you're on CNN, just say, hey, look, the uncommitted voters gave a middle finger to Biden. We know that they're never going to acknowledge us, because you think Biden is going to call for a ceasefire now? No. If he actually cared, he would have done so before the Michigan primary. He's not going to do it. He wasn't going to do it then. He's not going to do it now. And he's not going to do it even after the DNC convention. I'm so sorry. Biden doesn't care. He doesn't care. But he has time to eat ice cream, though.